Hi, my name's Shane. I use she and her pronouns. This is the third of four sessions playing Apocalypse Keys, the playtest version by Jamila Najati, who is also on the Gauntlet. And this game was organised as part of the Gauntlet gaming calendar. If you're not familiar, the Gauntlet organises and plays and discusses a whole lot of indie role-playing games. If you would like to find out more or potentially come and play a game with us, check out gauntlet-rpg.com. If you're watching this before the end of June, I guess, we do have a Gauntlet Community Open Gaming Weekend coming up at the end of June, the last weekend. That's when a whole bunch of Gauntlet GMs will run games, all of them free, all of them open to the public. A great opportunity for you to come and try out a game with us, see if you like it, and hopefully stick around and play with us some more. I do just want to flag before we start that we are using safety tools for this game, and we've discussed that in more detail at the start of the first session. So we have a list of lines and veils that I encourage the players to take a look over and just make sure that they still are happy with those. If there's anything you want to change or add, we're also using the X card and the open door policy, and the session is running under the Gauntlet Community Code of Conduct. So with that said, I will ask I'll ask the players to introduce both themselves and their characters, your names and pronouns, anything that you want to tell us about yourselves, and just a bit about who your character is. And I think we'll go left to right across the order that you're in the character keeper. So Matthew, can I get you to go first?
All right. Yes. I'm Matthew. I go by he him pronouns. Today I'll be playing Sebastian, the Surge, being a powerful divine power, of great divine power. And last I checked in on my character, various insects were crawling out of every orifice, and wow, and I heard a lot of stuff happened since then. And if you'll indulge me, I'd like to take the time to say that if you enjoy this video, if you enjoy this game, Apocalypse Keys, please check out Once More Into the Void, also by Jamila Najati, which is live on Kickstarter right now.
Thank you. Great call. I am very excited to eventually have a whole shelf of Jamie's books on my in my RPG collection. Drew, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. I am Drew. I use he, him pronouns, and I'm playing Zero the Found, a mysterious being of powers that seem very linked to dreams. And him and Sebastian might have to have a chat this session.
It's a nice summary. John?
Hey everyone, I'm John. I use he, him pronouns, playing Kronos, who's also he, him pronouns. Kronos is an ancient Greek mystic / seer vision person who died but then wasn't allowed to fully die. Death won't let them die. But they have lost their body. They are now I forget how it's worded, but basically a gas orb that is contained by a suit. And they have shadow magic, which we saw a bit of last session when Kronos sealed the room to hold back the flood of bugs.
Thanks. And Josh?
Yeah, of course. I'm Josh, he, him, his, and I am playing Asag, who is not properly referred to with any pronouns, but they, them, for convenience. Asag was once a god, and then was crushed and stamped out of power by their followers for their capriciousness. And over the millennia, rebuilt themselves until they were finally strong enough to exist, but weak enough to be captured and imposed the will upon by this organization. So they have been out last week, but before that, they forced a grieving woman into the worship of them. And I assume they're going to have a lot of catching up to do.
Well, I will try and catch you and Matthew up pretty quickly. So, to recap, all of you, you work for an organization called Division, dedicated to holding back the apocalypse. And you've come to Manila because there had been a string of murders of monsters called the Manananggal in an old sort of tenement-y apartment building where the Manananggal are the kind of main kind of monster, but all kinds of monsters live in this sort of low-cost housing. And as we just heard at the start of last session, there was a huge wave of bugs crawling from Sebastian's mouth, nose, ears, etc. And Kronos was able to use his shadow magic to seal up the room with both Sebastian and the insect horde inside. And then he and Zero headed off to investigate the murders of the local Manananggal and that looming apocalypse. Eventually, before they solved the case, they decided they'd better deal with this growing sort of throbbing insect horde that was pushing more and more strongly against the shadow borders that Kronos had established. And Zero was eventually able to sort of telekinetically crush all of the bugs. However, to do so, he had to draw on the power of Sebastian, who had been trapped inside this roiling horde of insects. And when the bugs were destroyed, he realized that Sebastian had vanished, was nowhere to be seen. But having saved the building, Zero and Kronos sort of put their heads together and figured out that Sister Theresa, your contact, who's a former division agent, was responsible for the murders, and that the apartment building itself is the door to the apocalypse that she is trying to open. And what has been happening is that the wallpaper has started to fall from the walls, the old sort of yellowing wallpaper, and behind it, scrawled on whatever material the walls are made of, in the handwriting of many thousands of different people, a series of little secrets, handwritten secrets that just cover every available surface. And you believe that when the last scrap of wallpaper falls up at the top of the building, then the apocalypse will be unleashed. So you must stop Sister Theresa before that happens. I'll get to like Asag and Sebastian in a sec, but is there anything that you need recapped or covered in terms of where we're at, or anything that I didn't clarify?
I feel like you covered everything, but but at the same time, if anything of import needs to be clarified, I feel like it will come up. Yeah.
Sure. All right. So Zero and Kronos are racing to the rooftop to confront Sister Theresa. Asag, it's been, I don't know, like maybe 4 or 5 hours since we last saw you. What have you been doing?
Quicker than I had imagined. Busy 4 hours.
So it was busy 4 hours. Has that real like Jack Bauer momentum?
Yeah, I think that Asag was distracted last week. Last 4 hours. I think that they got a little bit sucked in by enthralling a new worshiper, and they were like, I don't know, I'm gonna do this and not do the mission for a little bit. It's like opening a bag of chips, you know.
Just the one worshipper, or have you enthralled a whole like corridor of the building?
Yeah,
the whole floor?
I think that Asag has accidentally converted, you know, one like wing of the 17th floor into basically just a monastery for themselves.
As you do. And I mean, is it just that you've grown bored of that, or how is it that you happen to be on the stairs as Zero and Kronos rush past?
Yeah, well, I'm going to say that I have created a circle of loyal and powerful acolytes in my absence. So I think that as they rush past the 17th floor, they hear a very ominous chanting drifting through the stairwell. And it is in an ancient tongue. It is not anything that anyone recognizes. It is from before words were written down. But Asag, I think, notices you in the staircase because they are a god, and they are drawn out of the ritual, which sort of continues beneath them.
Nice. And Kronos and Zero, what do you say as you see your godly friend just sort of appear after vanishing for so long at such a crucial time?
I think Zero will just say hello and keep going.
And will Asag tag along?
Yeah, Asag has a strange expression on their face, but then they sort of realize the situation. They remember where they've been, where they are, and they follow along. They don't want anyone to look too closely at what they've been doing.
Yeah.
I think Kronos does take a peek, and then he turns to Asag as we continue climbing the stairs, just like, this is like Miami again, isn't it?
Asag whispers something a little bit angry, and I think that Kronos sort of feels for a moment the hint of like a migraine, because Asag's words are powerful enough for that, because they've been feeding off of these worshippers for 4 hours.
Nice. Kronos, were you going to say something?
I was just going to shoot back, hey, no judgment from me, buddy. What you do in your time is fine. We do think we've got, the end of the world to stop, though, if you've got a minute, if you can pull yourself away.
Yeah, Asag shuts the stairwell door. The chanting is softened.
Nice. And I just wanted to check, do any of you want to do anything that will acquire you some darkness tokens as we head into the, the boss fight? Or want a refresher on how darkness tokens work?
I feel as though I have just reacted with spite, or I feel as though I have just asked someone to worship me, certainly.
Yeah.
So I will take 2 tokens.
Great.
And now I'm up to 5.
Zero, how are you going for tokens?
I think as he is maybe like a full flight of stairs above, he'll just call down with some clear frustration. Good of you to join us.
Nice.
And I'll take the 2 tokens.
I think it's fair to say that I'm going to take a darkness token for feeling overwhelmed. But
just give me a minute. You have no idea how overwhelmed you're about to feel. Now
you don't excite me, Shane.
Kronos, how are you going for tokens?
I think telling Asag that Asag should leave their followers alone for a few minutes and come and help us with why we're here. I feel like that qualifies as asking someone to ignore their heart, because that's what Asag does. That's who Asag is.
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to leave the 3 of you racing to the rooftop, watching the wallpaper tumble away as you pass. Sebastian, you've had a pretty rough day today. Millions of insects have climbed through your psyche and out your mouth. And just when they were about to so fill the room that you would have been suffocated and surely died, your friend Zero turned up. You might have thought to help you, but instead, Zero sort of siphoned some of your power to help with the insects. And, I guess it turned out you're okay, but that could really have hurt you or even killed you. And I wonder whether you would consider that to be a trespass of some kind. Maybe even
Absolutely.
the slightest trespass.
Yes.
So to escape and survive when you felt him start to drain your essence, the only place for you to go was to follow the insects back where they came from. And so you have passed through the psychic plane, back now to the court of the God of Envenomated Arthropods. And he is lolling on his throne, laughing hysterically as his cockroach angels mass at the door that Sister Theresa is about to open. Many thousands of these cockroach warrior angels. And he recognizes you, Sebastian. He says that he knows what you truly want. Your friends did this to you, left you here. You need only join his army as they scourge the mortal world. And he promises that not only would you get your just revenge, but he could also replace your heart with insectoid hemolymph to immunize you against the possibility of ever falling in love. And with that, he thrusts you abruptly through the barrier between worlds into the rooftop garden where your friends have just arrived to confront Sister Theresa and her Manananggal golem. And I wonder, Sebastian, whether you feel tempted by what the darkness demands.
Number one, yes, that is absolutely a trespass. The power is mine to, like, while I can be generous with my power, the power is mine to give, to take, to offer. And no one is allowed to take that from me. And number two, am I tempted? I think Sebastian is absolutely tempted to enact vengeance upon the world for the dethroning, for people who have attacked and dethroned God from his palace. But I think he would refuse the idea of using any power other than, what is good and rightly and divine.
All right. So there's a move in this game called Torn Between that can trigger when you're tempted by what the darkness demands of you. So it's completely up to you whether you want to trigger that move or not. But it just involves making a choice of 3 options.
All right.
Do you want to? It's on the basic moves tab. Do you want to have a crack at Torn Between?
Sure. Let's see. I'm looking at Torn Between. When you are torn between your monstrous nature and your human heart, or when you are tempted by what the darkness demands of you. Yeah. All right. Let's do it. Yeah, I think it's going to be let your monstrous nature show and describe the damage your outburst causes.
All right.
Yeah. I think when Sebastian arrives, I wonder if you have to set the scene first before I do that, because I feel like what Sebastian will do is arrive there at that location, stand by his friends, but his colleagues, but at the same time, sort of like maybe rebuke them or rebuke other people for what has happened to him, even as he is driven to confront this thing. Yeah, maybe set the scene instead.
Yeah. So the rooftop is a large sort of garden area. The roof is packed with every imaginable plant that could be used for cooking or medicine, like anything practical. Floating a few feet above the ground is Sister Theresa, obviously glowing with some sort of terrible power. Beside her is her Manananggal golem. It used to be Lily, used to live in this building. She's had some extra wings sewn onto her. She has devastating claws and nightmare breath. Zero and Kronos encountered her last session. And Sister Theresa is in full-blown cackling supervillain mode. As the wallpaper falls away, soon the final secret will be revealed, and she will open the door to the cockroach god. And as this happens, your friends have gotten ahead of the falling wallpaper with, just moments to spare, and race up onto the rooftop garden and see that you are there.
I think what happens is already as Sebastian runs to the situation, he can already feel and detect the energy that whether it's trace or still present, that still resides in Zero.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what happens is he reveals his monstrous nature and sort of like chastises him for using his power.
So what does that look like?
I think what that looks like is that he shoots Zero look, and then he's like, I know what you did. I know what you have taken from me, and it doesn't matter if it was for good or for my benefit, but you did not have my permission. You knew that there were other resources available to you, other ways of doing this.
All right. Well, maybe you'll be able to finish this conversation later, but for now, Sister Theresa is coming at you. Let's see. Zero, you probably have some angst to work off right now. What do you do?
Is my sword monster still listening to me?
I'm sure it is. I think you left it patrolling downstairs, right?
Yeah, if I can, I think I'll summon it back to us.
Mm-hmm.
That couldn't go wrong.
Will that happen instantly, or does it need to physically move up the stairs?
I think not quite instantly, but we'll hear the breaking of glass from somewhere below, and then it just flies up over the edge of the roof.
Okay. And then how do you wield it?
As it flies toward me, it kind of folds itself back up into the shape of a not quite entirely consistent looking sword and just kind of lands in my hand.
All right. Do you want to roll to unleash the dark, either on Sister Theresa or her golem?
Sure. I think I'll focus on the golem.
How many tokens are you spending?
I'll go with 1. Sorry, new keyboard.
Sorry.
Whew, 5.
So on a 5, on a 7-, you have greatly underestimated them. The keeper will describe the desperate position you find yourself in. Do you want to spend bonds? Do you have bonds that you can spend to bring that up to an 8?
I do.
Well, that will let you wield the darkness with control and ease.
Yeah, I'll burn bonds with Asog, Sister Dax, and Kronos.
Nice. Okay, so then you can choose 2 from that list.
I think I'll inflict a condition and expose a weakness.
Yeah, so I think that the weakness that you expose is that the sort of impossible power of your sword shreds the control that Sister Theresa was exerting, the magic that she was using, and Lily is exposed for the first time to the fact of her own death, and her grief is the weakness that you expose. You think that drawing on that would be enough to to put a stop to the threat that she poses. But I might ask Asag what you're going to do.
Yeah, Asag. Well, I have a metaphysical question, and that is, Sister Theresa, I assume, was Catholic at some point.
No, Sister
No?
Theresa is part of the Order of the Broken Crucifix.
Okay. So, does the Order of the Broken Crucifix believe in souls?
I'm happy for you to answer that question.
I'm going to say that they do.
Okay.
Asag is in possession of a power called soul venom.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that Asag is sort of so bloated on worship from their adventure down below that they start to they try to fly up a little bit to get a little bit closer to Teresa. They aren't quite as high because of the winds and the stress, but they yell out to Teresa. And their vocal cords are straining, but somehow the words come out just like nicely. They sound nice, even though Asag is screaming at the top of their lungs. And Asag says, "Sister Theresa, you are beautiful," and that is a lie. But it is a honeyed lie that Asag is going to try to appeal to this creature's vanity.
Well, when you unleash the dark to enforce your will on someone physically, socially, or emotionally, spend darkness tokens and roll.
Yes. I'm going to spend 3 darkness tokens.
Wow.
There's a lot of worship going into this one.
Yeah. Nice. So on an 8 to 10, you wield the darkness with control and ease and choose 2.
Okay. And I also gain an extra from my move, Honey Tongue and Clouded Minds.
Nice.
So I can also choose from one below. I'm going to say that I confuse them for some time, and I learn a valuable secret.
Oh, that's a good one. I mean, maybe you learn Sister Teresa's motivation in all this. Does that seem like something that would satisfy a valuable secret?
Beautiful.
Yeah. So Sister Theresa is motivated in this fully by greed and avarice. She is, she has always felt hard done by. She used to work for Division. She felt she was underpaid. She felt that the benefits were no good. Now she's a nun. The benefits are even worse. The cockroach god has promised her $1 for every cockroach in the world if she helps him to bring about the apocalypse. And that's what's driving her on at this point. But certainly she is very disarmed and disoriented by you, appealing to her vanity. She was expecting a more direct confrontation, and all of you see that she is sort of given pause. She's confused. Does that resolves your move? That was just the 2 things that you choose. Yeah,
that does resolve the move. Yes.
All right. Well, Kronos, you see that Sister Theresa is confused. What are you going to do?
I am going to build a shadow prison around her.
Nice.
Nice.
Because I assume we're trying to like capture this person, right? Like that's the thing we do is capture them and take them back.
I mean, I assumed that you would try and defeat her. I mean, it does have that like masks type quality where instead of harm, you're dealing emotional conditions. So, you know, it'll be up to you narratively if you defeat her that way, whether you kill her or, you know, just reduce her to, yeah.
Okay, I see. Well, in that case, okay, if we're trying to be emotional here, what I'm going to do is actually use so you see Kronos, like, you see him lift the mask from his face and pull it off, and at first the vapors just swirl there, not taking any sort of shape, and then they start to coalesce and form, and they form into the face of the victim. One victim first.
Oh, nice.
And you hear the victim speak to Lisa and tell their story of torment, and then that shifts to the next victim, who then starts to share their story.
Wow.
So this is Let the Dead Speak.
All right. So tell us about Let the Dead Speak.
Well, I have just decided it is letting dead people speak through me.
Great. Great. So that's one of your powers.
Yes,
right?
Yeah, that's one of my powers of darkness.
All right. And you're using this. This sounds like Unleash the Dark as well. You're kind of using it to enforce your will on someone.
Yep. Yeah. Essentially, right, to like make Sister Theresa. Am I imagining that? Make the sister have to recognize what she's done.
Yeah. All right. That sounds good. So roll with some tokens.
Okay. Let's spend 2 tokens. Oh no.
Do you want to spend any bonds to bring that up to an 8?
I have to spend enough to get up to an 8.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm gonna spend. I'll spend 1 from each of my compatriots here. So 1 from Assad, 1 from Zero, 1 from Sebastian.
Yeah. Nice. And then which options from that list will you choose?
Well, I'll get past their defenses and inflict a condition.
Yeah. Let's see. Sister Theresa, Saint Theresa, sorry. Sister. She's called Saint Theresa on my notes, which obviously is a mistake. Sister Theresa is ashamed. That's the condition that you inflict.
And I think for the second one, I'm going to avoid reprisals, harm, or cost.
All right. Cool. So Sebastian, what will you do here?
So I have a question. You told me at the very first scene that you had me with that I was torn between, and I looked it up, and one of the prerequisites of torn between is having darkness tokens of 5+. Does this mean I had 5+ tokens already?
I don't know how many tokens you have. There's alternatives. You are torn between automatically if you finish a move with more than 5 tokens, but it can also be triggered by the fiction when you're tempted by the darkness.
Okay, rad. And for taking the torn between, did I get any additional darkness or not?
You tell me if any of the things that give you darkness tokens have happened. Do you feel overwhelmed or numb?
Yeah. Let's add 1.
Well, you choose 2 to 4 tokens when you gain darkness tokens.
That's right. My brain keeps thinking every time you do a thing, you add 1, but it's like 2 to 4. Let's put it at 3. I think.
All right. And then what are you going to do now?
All right. So I think Kronos has sort of like, I forget. She's embarrassed or what was the condition?
Ashamed.
She's ashamed. Any other conditions that are setting on Theresa?
So far, she's just ashamed.
All right, okay. I think what happens is Sebastian proceeds to sort of create a wake of destruction. First, he forges an angelic weapon, maybe a javelin or a spear of some kind, and sees this weird being that lies before him, and decides that he has to purify her or purify everything. But in doing so, the process like creates a destructive wake, and that will trigger the move "I am your destruction." You are
Okay.
capable of causing great destruction around you, but sometimes you can thread the needle and use destruction as a tool. When you power through darkness, you can declare that you cause great collateral damage. So I guess what happens is,
Well, so first you need to make the power through darkness move, and then we'll look at the
oh,
consequences.
all
Um,
right.
so
Still learning.
yeah, that's okay. So power through darkness is about pushing the limits of your supernatural powers to do the extraordinary.
Mm,
So what ridiculously over the top thing are you trying to use your angelic powers for?
I think what I'm trying to do is okay. Here's what happens. Sebastian is both. It has a lot of feelings about what just happened, which is really really tempted and really driven by the desire that the cockroach god offered, the envenomated arthropods offered to him. But at the same time, his arrogance and hubris refuses to like stoop down to that power. So what he does is he sees Teresa and is like, well, my vengeance, my punishment for that is to try to sever the pact between them, and using his angelic power, sort of like sever the bonds between the envenomated arthropods, like all of that power from Teresa.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. To like close the gate between worlds.
Yeah.
Insuperably. Okay. Well, roll with some tokens.
All right. Let's see. Roll. I'd say roll with some tokens. Let's go with 2. So that's 2d6 plus 2. And I hope I set this up correctly. Wait, what?
I'm not sure what's happened there. It looks very much like you rolled a 5. Oh no, that was the last roll.
Let's try this.
There we go.
There we go. We
10.
got 10.
Okay, so on an 8 to 10, you use your powers with great precision and effect, changing the situation before you. Additionally, the keeper may offer you a reprieve, a golden opportunity, or a bond with someone. So I just want to like cross-reference that with the surge move that you made. So what's I am your destruction? If you do, you may choose one. You can declare that you cause great collateral damage, and may choose one from below, even on a miss.
Well, destruction of the environment is very, very obviously awesome. But now I'm asking myself, do I want to like? Do we still need keys, or do I, not necessarily?
No,
right?
so the keys are like clues that bring you to the conclusion, and you've already you've already solved the case. Sister Theresa is the harbinger. I think I pronounced that right this time. I was consistently pronouncing it wrong last week. So I think that if you want, you can have a servant of the harbinger appear and confront you, but your power destructively reshaping the environment seems like potentially the winner here.
All right, I have an idea then. What happens is in the process of severing the bonds, like Sebastian launches us into this spiel about like, punishment and power. And as he's doing this, he talks about how the bargain that Teresa has made with this cockroach god comes, has brought the ire of both the division, has brought the ire of the division, has brought my ire, has brought that of like, all the forces of heaven and earth, like the attention on him, and in doing so, she has damned like the people around her, and as the environment gets destroyed, Sebastian is like, is this what you wanted? Is this, is this what you wanted to bring up, bring up on the people around you? And yeah, basically an excoriating rebuke.
Okay, so I buy that. She will definitely take a condition for that. What will she be now? I think let's say that she is devastated. But you four are standing on the roof of a building, and you have just unleashed destructive collateral damage. What's happening? I mean, either to the roof or to the building altogether.
Is that a question for me?
It is.
Okay, just making sure. I thought it was a collective question. What's happening?
No, that's for you.
Okay, well then I'd say the building is, since we're on the roof garden, I would feel that the building is just sort of like caving in and on itself.
All right. Well, Zero. The building is caving in beneath you. You are halfway between confronting and consoling Lily, the Mananungal golem, who has just realized that she is in fact dead. But if you don't do something soon, the entire building will collapse, killing an untold number of residents and potentially all of you. What will you do?
Looking through my moves, see if there's any. I don't think anything here will be particularly helpful for that.
I mean, you've got telekinesis, and power through darkness is about straining the limits of your power. If you want to try and telekinetically cement the building back together as it explodes and collapses, you can try.
Yeah, sure. Last time that worked out so well. Let's use the telekinesis again.
All right. How many tokens are you rolling with?
My last token.
It's a Sue Storm at Omega level moment.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
That's a 0.
Appropriately enough.
Let me try reloading.
I'm really interested in how this is happening.
A 4.
Oh, and I can't imagine you have enough bonds to bring that up to a...
I definitely do not.
All right, so on a 7-, the Keeper of the Doors will offer you something connected to what the darkness demands of you. Whether you take it or not, prepare for the worst. So the things the darkness demands of you, one is to open a permanent portal to a dark realm, and that might have been on the table, but Sebastian just absolutely sealed that. There's no way that can happen now. But your other thing the darkness demands of you is to destroy your friends before they destroy you. And I think that you don't, like, at this point, you don't really need to do anything. The building is collapsing under them. Sure, there will be many hundreds of people killed in the collateral damage type situation, but yeah, the building starts to fall beneath you. Asag, how are you feeling as the building gives way beneath? Well, you're floating in the air, I guess.
Yeah, Asag. I don't know if Asag notices at first.
I mean, maybe the fear of your worshippers like radiates up to you.
Yeah,
If they
I think
feel
that
the building.
Asag feels all of a sudden a wave of fear, and also sort of drops a couple feet in the air as their worshippers down below sort of stop their chant and start freaking out because the building is shaking. And Asag sort of shakes their head to clear the air. And Asag is going to grab onto Sister Theresa, whatever, her leg probably, because Asag is now below her. And Asag is going to Asag is going to use her fear manipulation, their fear manipulation power. Asag feels this fear flowing through them from their worshippers on the 17th story, and they with their arm gripping tightly, like crushing Sister Theresa's leg. They say again, "You are weak, and you will die with the rest of us," which is a lie again, but Asag is an excellent liar from their many years as a god. So this is power through the darkness. I'm trying to put the fear of all of my worshippers on the 17th floor, and I'm trying to put it into Sister Theresa to make her save the building to save herself.
All right.
So, fingers crossed. This is, I feel, this is asking someone to betray another, is what it is, because I'm asking Sister Theresa to betray the god of envenomated arthropods.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to take 4 tokens, and I'm going to spend 4 tokens.
Oh my god.
And I'm going to open this because it timed out. And, sorry. That is a 13.
So on an 11 plus, you're on the edge of disaster. Choose one. Mark a condition to exert better control of your powers, or let the Keeper tell you how the situation is not under your control. You can also choose to spend bonds to reduce that down to 10 for a precise result.
I'm going to mark the condition raging.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to say that I do keep it as well as under control as I can in the situation.
Mm-hmm.
But now Asag is mad. And I don't know if any of you have ever seen Asag mad.
So despite your anger, you realize that it's worked. Sister Theresa marks the condition desperate, and that's enough. 3 conditions will take her out of the fight. She will no longer be able to resist. And she reaches out. The last shreds of the cockroach god's magic that she was able to retain when the door slammed shut between dimensions. She reaches out to try and use it to hold the building together. But it's just too late. There's not enough magic left for her to hold the building together. And it seems for a moment that everything will collapse. But then she finds a way. She's able to animate the millions and millions of crushed dead cockroaches that Zero left in the apartment downstairs. And miraculously, almost instantaneously, she uses these like a glue. She's like spreads them through the building, and their remains sort of cement the the fragments of the building back together, reinforce the structural supports. Apologies to anyone watching the stream who would have preferred not to deal with insects. But the glue of crushed cockroaches, the building creaks, it all moans and leans as if it's going to continue to collapse, but it does hold together. And Sister Theresa falls to the ground, and you have closed the Doom's door, defeated the Harbinger, saved the building, and saved the world for another day. Good work, everyone. It's nearly the hour, so we'll take a break soon. But is there any final words or anything that anyone wants to get in before we leave the apartments?
When Sister Theresa collapses to the roof, and the apartment sort of stabilizes, Asag picks her up with one hand. Now, Asag has the strong hand, and Asag squeezes Sister Theresa, by the arm that she is dangling in the air from, and it hurts. And Asag says, "You owe me your life. I have killed gods greater than you, servant. You should be honored. I am greater than the last one that you've pledged yourself to." And I'm going to roll. I will spend 2 darkness tokens, and I will take 3 darkness tokens, because this is also, I'm asking someone to worship me.
Yeah.
So that is a 4. So on a 7 minus, I mark 1 ruin, and the keeper will tell me what dark and terrifying entity answers my call.
All right. So it says that I'll tell you what dark and terrifying entity answers your call, but it doesn't say when I'll do that. So I'm going to hold that reaction
Of course.
for another moment. Zero, are you interested in revealing your heart to Sebastian? I wonder if you want to try and patch things up or resolve things there, or maybe when you get back to Division, or maybe not at all.
I think when they get back, he's probably pretty deep in his feelings at the moment.
All right. Cool. Well, let's take. Oh, sorry, Kronos. Is there anything that you want to do before we leave Manila?
I'm going to just swing back by Ines and tell them, now I know what this looks like. We destroyed a building, and everything's a mess, and we're leaving you on your own to deal with it. And all of that's true. But, Ines, just stay the course. I will do what I can to get you support.
Well, do you you're trying to sincerely connect with her? Do you want to reveal your heart, or is it more just a narrative beat?
I can reveal my heart. I was gonna say I feel like this is probably asking someone to ignore their heart, so I'm gonna take some tokens for that, and then let's reveal my heart.
So it's a basic move. It's on the right-hand side of that tab. When you reveal your heart and try to sincerely connect to someone, spend tokens and roll.
So let's spend 3 tokens on this. That's -3. I want +3. Wow. Still only got a 7.
On a 7 minus, something interrupts or undermines the moment. Do you want to spend a bond?
I'm going to let it ride.
An omen, consequence, or an aspect of the mystery itself. So I think that, let's see. Well, maybe I'll come back to you with what the omen or consequence is.
Yeah, I was going to say this could definitely be death poking their nose into what I'm doing.
Yeah, I think that I think an omen makes sense, but I'm just going to take a minute to think about how to frame it. Sebastian, is there anything that you want to do before we finish this up?
Absolutely. I reveal my heart to Zero.
How so?
I think what Sebastian does is that he recognizes how personally he took it, and so in his awkward way, he's trying to like. He would never call it apologize. You know what I mean? So I think, and let's roll and see what happens. Just a pure 2d6 roll, right? Nothing else riding on that.
You can add tokens if you want.
Yeah, let's add a bond. Or
Sorry, not a bond, a darkness token.
Sorry,
The bonds you add after you roll.
That's right. Okay, you know what? I'll keep the darkness. So let's just roll 2d6. And that is an 8. Where would that hit? Where would that target hit?
That's perfect.
All right.
So yeah, you choose one, and if it's a PC, which it is, and they choose to deepen the connection further, they can also choose one. So, firstly, what will Sebastian or Matthew choose?
I think what happens is that Zero taught something important to Sebastian, and that it's important to relinquish control sometimes and mark XP.
Nice. And Zero, do you choose to deepen the connection further?
I think so. He will appreciate the not quite apology quite a bit. And I think he will gain a bond with Sebastian.
All right. And Kronos, as you try and share this moment with Inez, you're kind of given pause by the reflection that you see in her eyes, where Death is looking back at you, and he's standing in, it looks like some sort of quite old-fashioned, like maybe 1940s gentleman's club or smoking lounge or something like that. That's the omen that interrupts your moment. All right. Let's take our break here. So we'll come back about 12 minutes past the hour, and we'll see what happens back at Division. Is that good for everyone? Cool. We're all back. Is everyone ready to continue? All right. So basically what I want to do here is find out what happens to each of you back at Division headquarters. So we established a bit about what Division HQ is like, or at least the one that you work out of in the first session. But I just want to go around and get each of you to sort of narrate a vignette or a short scene just about something that happens while you're back at Division. You're going to be there, for a while before your next job. Could be debriefing, could be a problem with a coworker, romance, like whatever you want. And I don't want to constrain this, but I would love to flesh out or find out about some NPCs who work at Division as part of this. So does anyone want to put their hand up to go first and just tell us about something that happens back at Division HQ? Yeah, John, please.
I can go first. I think Kronos ventures into the business side of Division and walks into the office of, let's call them Kilroy. The name on the plate outside says Kilroy, and it's got this big fancy sounding title of VP of Finance Community Affairs Division. So Kronos storms in without having scheduled a meeting or anything with him, and as the best you can for a vaporous body in a suit, slams his fists on the desk and says, "I want to know what happened with the Mononongals. We went back there and they had nothing. They told me about what what we did. Division just left them high and dry. How do you explain that, Kilroy?
So tell us a bit about Kilroy. Like, what do you see, or who do you see?
So, I think Kilroy is. I don't know. I'm just going to lean into it. Kilroy is your typical slimy businessman, right? He wears a suit that looks like it, probably costs as much as your first car did. Slick back hair. He's got the Bluetooth headset in his ear. And yeah, I think he's got a reputation in Division for being a financial wizard.
Mm-hmm.
He can make the numbers work in your favor or work against you. So you don't want to be on Kilroy's bad side.
Yeah. So I think as you kind of launch into this spiel, Kilroy, sort of taps his earpiece and says, "Look, I'll call you back." Turns to you and says, "Oh well, Chronic, is it? Thanks for bringing this to my attention. I'm terribly sorry about whatever the oversight was. My door is always open to you." He looks and sees that his door is in fact open at the moment. Doesn't look totally happy about it. Let me just look into that. And he sort of taps away at his keyboard a little and he says, look, here's the thing. You still haven't filed a J487 form, have you?
A what?
J487? Request to requisition community supplies?
Why the heck would I need to file that? We were there. We saw what we saw.
He reaches out, he puts a hand on your shoulder. He says, "Look, I understand these things can be frustrating, but you work for a large organization. These chains of accountability are very important. Nobody here wants those Mananungal to get what they deserve more than I do. But I can't do magic. I can't make these things just appear. You've got to fill out the right paperwork. I can enroll you in a paperwork seminar that we're running next week if you'd like to be up to date on the latest systems."
I think I just knock his hand off my shoulder and I say, Is this what we've become? Is this what Division is now?
He beams with pride. Yes, it is.
I said, I'll find the damn form of my own.
All right.
Stomp out.
Beautiful. Drew, do you want to narrate a scene as well?
Sure. I think Zero will have an appointment with Division's, or this branch's psychologist, as a kind of debrief. Mm-hmm. And I think she's named Dr. Escher. And she looks like, she dresses like a kindergarten teacher from the 90s, like long jean skirt, big glasses, a vest over a button-up shirt, and he'll spend most of the session probably playing with a lump of clay and making random shapes that all end up kind of looking like swords. But he'll kind of allude to the fact at first that he didn't feel very useful. Everything he did ended up making things worse, and he hurt people. He almost broke someone's brain. And he doesn't know if he's more of a liability or an asset to this team anymore. And that'll be reacting with uncertainty.
Mm-hmm. Great. And like, does Dr. Escher, what's her approach? Is she sympathetic? Does she, offer useful advice and encouragement and consolation, or is it more like she prescribes the medication that will keep you on track to do exactly what Division demands of you?
I think it's more the former. She's very kind of clinically warm, I guess,
Mhm.
and very just you need to talk about your feelings with your teammates. Tell them what you think about your performance.
Hmm. Nice. Sebastian, what about you?
I think what so when I think what Sebastian does is go to the bar and just sort of like, and he makes a beeline to it. Like what happens is he descends from, we used a chopper to get there, right? Like some kind of stealth chopper.
Yeah.
Yeah. He gets off from the chopper, and you see that his face after the fight has turned kind of beautiful. I mean, more beautiful than he normally looks. And so when he gets off from the chopper, it sort of turns back to the face that he normally wears. And his wings, which are not feathered, just sort of like fold. They're just like rays of light or something. They just sort of fold in as he puts on his coat and heads to the bar. And the bartender, I think I kind of am wavering between maybe an older lady, somewhere in her 60s or 50s,
Hmm.
and it is there that Sebastian lingers on sort of like the connection that the dark god, the envenomated arthropods, was trying to make with him.
Does the bartender give you any useful advice, or just more liquor?
I'm not sure. I think let's make it the character. I'm not sure how much participation you want to have in like crafting this with me, Shane. But basically, let's make the bartender someone who um, used to be a cultist. She is that life has been behind her for 30 years now, like 30 or 40 years. But
Yeah.
she's now worked at the division, mostly doing a lot of work as sort of in like at one point she was the psychologist. She was like providing therapy, but now she's sort of transitioned to an easier role as a bartender. Well, not easier,
Right.
but like not the shame work or anything like that. But you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
So she's seen it all. She's like this gruff older woman, I think. What's her name?
let's go with what I can come up with in my head just now is let's make her look a lot like Shoresh Agdashlu from The Expanse.
I've never seen this, so I would love a link to check out.
And I will just randomly pull a name from. Let's call her Rani.
Ronnie.
Rani. And
Oh, Ronnie. Yep.
Shoresh Agdashlu.
All right. So I think that Ronnie can see that you're down, and she just, she pours you maybe a stiffer drink than she normally would. She puts it down in front of you, and she, as she does it, she slams her hand down and crushes a cockroach that happens to be crawling across the bar in front of you. And she says, "Look, I don't know what's getting you down, but sometimes you've just got to smash something." That's her advice. Whether it's a drink or a bug or the end of the world, just go out and hit something.
I say that quite ironic to be saying that since my own actions have smashed plenty in the last mission.
Well, she's not. She doesn't. The bartender's views are not those of Division as a whole, but
Yeah. Yeah.
She thinks you can solve all of your problems by hitting them hard enough. With liquor or something else. And what about Asag?
Yeah, Asag. Ooh. Asag is going to wants to talk to Zero. Asag has a favor to ask. So I think that Asag just goes into Zero's room. Asag is not one for propriety. And Asag says, I do not trust this agency. I do not trust... Thank you, Matthew. I try. I do not trust them to do the right thing. I want you to help me remove their weapons, the ones that they keep for us to use on us.
And put them where?
Put them wherever you want. Don't tell me. But keep them out of reach of them.
Zero will look kind of thoughtful for a moment, and then I can do that.
Yeah. And Asag nods and is like, yes, good. Exactly. Great. That's what Asag wants.
All right. And what does Zero do after this conversation?
I don't suppose he'll be able to just walk into the armory.
Zero has telekinesis, is why I requested Zero's help. Because Zero doesn't technically have to walk into the armory.
That's true. He can also travel through the portals that connect all dreamers. So I think that's what he would be doing, walking straight in and taking anything that isn't bolted down.
I mean, that bottom floor of Division that holds the extra secret weapons designed to deal with all of you, that must be very well protected with, arcane wards and protective magics and things like that. So I think it's going to be power through darkness to actually be able to do that.
Okay. Then I will... Yeah, I'll do 3 tokens. 9.
Nice. So what do you do with the great variety of strange, elaborate weaponry? Top secret, extremely dangerous. Where does it go?
So even locations have dreams. So he opens a portal into the building's dream and leaves them there.
Amazing.
And then just walks back to his room and resumes modeling something as if nothing had happened.
All right.
And I'm going to count this as destroying the one weapon that can kill me for the checklist.
Sure.
So, Asag is just doing good stuff.
All right. So after a couple of weeks, you're not out on missions all the time, but eventually you're all called back into the briefing room. I mean, Asag sort of answered this, but how much do you guys talk to each other between missions? Do you only see each other when you're working, or are you friendly back at Division? It's a sort of general question for everyone.
May I volunteer a suggestion, which is that I think that all of us go our separate ways, right? But I think we all have individual, I guess, interests or passions, or even how should I say this, crusades that we work towards, and sometimes that brings us into each other's crosshairs or into each other's neighborhoods. You know what I mean? Which is very superhero like actually when I put it that way, but that's how I'm thinking. Like maybe Cronus is about doing something, and during his spin-off comic, like an angel descends and comments on what he's doing or something. That's how I see our interactions outside of Division going.
Yeah, I mean, that works for me. Is that good for everyone? Does that sound right?
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, you're all back in the same room for the first time since Manila. The there's an uncomfortably long wait. Like normally when you come in here, somebody's along pretty quickly or already waiting for you to, brief you on the next mission. But they really leave you waiting. And you notice as you wait that there's been some minor redecorating. There's some paintings on the walls that you don't remember. And all the way around the edge of the room are old-fashioned dot matrix printers. And you wait. You wait so long that you almost don't know how long you've been waiting here. Who's the first to kind of break the silence and, try and ask someone what's going on?
It would not be Zero.
And it would definitely be Sebastian. I think what happens is Sebastian stands up in the room and starts like rustling his hands through the dot matrix printouts and just sort of like getting his grubby little hands on everything and just trying to figure out what's going on. What is this? What is that?
Yeah. So
fuck this shit. Fuck that.
So as you stand up, the dot matrix printers, every one of them like comes alive, and reams of paper start to pump out of them. You also notice that there's a little tabby cat that's been, sitting in the corner under one of the desks. And as you go over to the nearest printer and check what's coming out of it, you see that in sort of huge bold letters, it has printed out just the words, "Go no further." But there's many, many printouts. Like all the printers are working now.
I pull a page out that says go no further, and I kind of turn to Kronos and hold it up to him, and I'm like, look at this. Do you understand this shit? And I think I will give myself a condition of reactive.
Yeah. All right. Kronos, what do you do?
I think Kronos is sitting in the chair. He's got his legs crossed and his hand to his face. You just see him nod. Kind of a long moment passes, and he says back, "It seems pretty clear, Sebastian. Printers are angry at you. You've angered technology."
Twitch of annoyance. I sort of turn back from Kronos. Obviously, I'm not sure the word to discuss it, but basically just like obviously, why do I even ask?
Asag, what are you doing?
Asag has waited many, many, many years. Asag is happy to wait a couple hours in this room, just sitting there. Asag is great at waiting.
Okay. Zero, you also seem like the patient type. Is that right?
He spent quite a long time alone in the facility he was found in, so this is nothing.
I think this might be a good time for me to reach out to the psychic invokers. The psychic network.
Yes, remind us how that works.
So the psychic invokers is a division move. And it says the division is trained a number of psychics to attune to an agent, sharing their visions across vast distances directly into the mind of the agent in the field. This connection has been deemed to operate within marginally safe parameters most of the time. So we already answered some moves about who the agents are. And so when you increase your psychic vulnerability to receive information, tell the keeper how much you open your mind to the psychic invocation on a scale of 1
This
to
is
10.
amazing.
The keeper will describe a vision and its effects with an intensity equal to your psychic vulnerability. Roll and add your level of psychic vulnerability. So I think in this case, I'm not going to open up myself too much. I think we'll go with the middle tier. We're going to go with a 2.
The 2. So I describe a vision first and then you roll? Is that what happens?
You describe a vision and its effects? Yes, and then I roll.
All right. So tell me if you feel that this is an appropriate, 2 psychic, 2 levels psychic distress.
I have no idea what a 3 or a 1 is, so...
Yeah, well, I don't have a baseline here either, so we'll just go with this. You have a vision of division headquarters, the building itself, the whole building. In your vision, the building is somehow asleep and dreaming. And not only that, the building is in a cage, as if the building itself has been captured or taken over somehow. Does that seem like a level 2 vision?
I think so.
Yeah, okay.
Sure, why not? Now we've got a yardstick.
Yeah, go ahead and roll then.
Okay,
At
so I
+2.
roll +2. That's an 11. And so on an 11 plus, you and the psychic invoker fail to sync safely, and the harbinger within you forces the psychic invoker to become a temporary channel. Choose a number of questions based on your scale of vulnerability, which was 2, and the keeper reveals what the harbinger you may become shows you. In addition, gain 1 bond with what the darkness demands of you. Okay, so I'm going to choose 2 questions.
Mhm.
Let's start with what will happen if we fail to unlock the door in time.
What will happen if you fail to unlock the door in time? Well, the infiltrators who have seized control of Division through its dreams will find the weaponry that Zero has hidden in those dreams and use them not only to destroy you, but to help them unlock Doom's door. Sorry, that was... Yeah. Yeah, I think that's your answer.
Okay. So, kind of a big deal. Got it. And for the second question, let's go with... I'm really torn between the last 2. Let's go with the last one. How can the psychic invoker help me become a harbinger?
That's a great question. The psychic invoker is amongst the Division agents who have been captured by these infiltrators and is currently sort of caught in that interzone between sleep and waking, between dream and conscious awareness. And death lives there too. The psychic invoker is ready in this dreamy space to channel your power through to start tearing that veil between the living and the dead.
Do I get a sense of if the invoker I'm connected to is Katiana or Brad?
Do you have a preference?
I don't have a preference. We could flip a coin or something.
I mean, I think it's Brad. It really seems like if anyone's going to help you tear the veil between the living and the dead, it's a guy named Brad.
Yeah.
Um,
So as I'm sitting there, I feel like watching Sebastian, mutter and curse at the printers, and then receiving this. I'll stand up, and then I'm gonna walk over to Asag, and flick Asag in the forehead.
Asag does not take that kindly. Asag, Asag stands immediately, quickly, and Asag's eyes narrow because Asag is still raging from a few days ago. And I am going to embody a condition that affects me. And I am going to take 4 tokens. And I'm not going to spend them. So, or I'll spend 1. And Asag is just going to slap Kronos in the face. So
you said you were going to spend a token. Are you unleashing the dark or what?
I am unleashing the dark also. Asag is so angry that I think this is also a case of mild soul venom. You know.
Yeah.
Mild.
Just mild soul venom.
Just mild. And that is a 9.
Nice.
And also I have over 5 tokens, so I am in between.
Well, let's start with Unleash the Dark. So what 2 will you choose?
Yeah. A 2 I'm going to choose. I'm going to get past their defenses and inflict a condition.
Kronos, what condition will you mark?
Let's mark obsessed.
Nice.
And I'm going to gain the upper hand for now.
I love that Asag is full in on this. Like, kick your ass, Kronos.
And now I am torn between, and I am going to let my monstrous nature show. And I think that the violence with which Asag reacts to this flick is honestly very scary. Asag is literally a divine being. And for a moment, it is almost as though the mortal body that Asag is inhabiting sort of falls away. And it's Asag seems like they are filling the room. Like everything around you is Asag. And Kronos, for a moment, starts to feel himself like draining. Like he is becoming part of Asag and losing the part of himself that is himself. And then it all stops, and the room is back as it was. But Asag looks a little bit taller, an inch or 2.
Are you done, Asag?
Asag sits down. and says, "Mortals do not touch me."
Well, sometimes in dreams they do, which is where I think we are right now.
Sog frowns. I'm not a dream manipulator. Why do you come to me?
Seemed like as good a person as anybody to flick in the forehead. Thought maybe that I expected a typical reaction from you, and thought maybe your rage would jolt us out of this dream state or whatever we seem to be trapped in.
Zero, do you react at all to this discussion of dreams? Or
From
the scene more generally?
He'll just be watching kind of impassively. And when Kronos mentions the dream, his brows will knit and he'll kind of look around and say, I don't think this is a dream. It doesn't feel right.
You're right, Zero. It's not quite a dream, but this certainly isn't the real world that we know. There's something off about this place. I received a vision, and I think something's happened to Division. I think someone's trapped it in some sort of other dimension or some dreamlike state.
So, Sebastian, you've collected a few more printouts while this conversation is going on. Mm. And so what Kronos says pretty much starts to make sense to you. What you found is that it's almost like there are two separate people or two separate forces, two separate sides who are both wielding these printers. One of them prints in black ink, and that one warns you to stop, claims that division is ours, says that the apocalypse will happen on our terms, etc., etc. The other, printing in red ink, is very encouraging. It says you can do it this time. Please don't give up. Help us. Messages along those lines.
Are we trapped in these? Sorry, I just read John asking. Fingers crossed, Sebastian isn't colorblind. Maybe in a state of rage, he would be, but. Yeah, no. Are we trapped in this room? Can we not venture further into Division?
Well, do you want to try the door?
Absolutely.
The door opens. It's not locked.
All right. I'm going to try to. I want to be able to sense where the powers are in conflict, not just in this room, but I want to be able to understand where everything is, where this sort of war between these two forces, where is it taking place, whether conceptually or energetically or physically.
So, I mean, the fundamental move that you use in this game to try and put things together is to grasp. Is it called grasping keys?
Yeah.
Which is how you start to collect clues.
Yeah.
So you're searching for a clue.
Yeah.
In the briefing room or in the hall, or where are you going to do it?
You know what? I will go. Right. So when they had the discussion of dreams, did they drop the information about the weapons cache?
I don't think anyone's mentioned that out loud.
Yeah. I think what happens then is that Sebastian sort of lights his hand in divine light and walks down the door and then tries to get a sense of what conflict, what clash, if there's a din or anything that's happening out there, and grasp the keys that way.
All right. Spend darkness tokens and roll.
Sure. Spending a darkness token, rolling 2d6 plus 1. That is a 7 on a Grasping keys roll.
So on a 7-, you may find you find more than you are ready for. You can choose to mark ruin to uncover a key, but in doing so, the keeper will reveal how you come closer to becoming a harbinger. Harbinger.
Sure.
I'm gonna learn to pronounce that word by the end of this 4-session run.
Personally, I think both pronunciations are valid, even if there might be one that's considered correct. But that's just my
One that is
opinion.
used solely by me personally.
That's just my opinion, you know. Yeah.
Do you want to spend a bond to bring that up to an 8? Or do you want to mark ruin to uncover a key?
Yeah, I'm gonna mark the ruin.
All right. So
Ruin marked.
all right. So what you find is that as you open the door, you don't quite contact you don't get the kind of impressions that you were hoping for exactly. But lying on the carpet immediately outside the briefing room is a micro cassette recorder, just like Carl McLaughlin used in Twin Peaks.
I owned one, so I know what you're talking about. Yeah. And I pick up the cassette recorder,
Mm-hmm.
tape player.
Mm-hmm. And will you play it?
I lift it up and I look for something to play it with. Yeah. Or is it in the recorder?
Yeah, there's a tape in there. You can play it back.
All right, and I play it and try to listen to it.
All right.
Against my better judgment.
Well, you are quite surprised because it is your voice that plays back and you don't recall making any sort of recording. And it says, "Please listen to me. I don't have much time before this all resets again. You've got to clear out the infiltrators before..." And the tape goes dead. And that is your first key. If you want to, sorry, I should set up a new mystery here. Sorry, I'm just putting in the name of the mystery in the tab.
There we go.
But all of you hear this recording. What do you want to do?
Wait. So when I take the ruin, that's it. That's like the manifestation of the consequence, right?
Yeah. So I guess, sorry, more specifically, you feel that if the implication is that time is resetting somehow, that you're trapped in some sort of loop, then you could stay in this loop. You could live here forever, and you would never have to fall in love.
Yikes! Is that how you reveal how I come closer to becoming a harbinger?
Yeah, you just feel that temptation.
Huh. All right, I pass it to the rest of the gang while I stew in this angst.
Nice. Does anyone have a thought on what they want to do?
I think Zero will look more than a little upset about the possibility that his powers could be getting so out of control he can't even tell when he's in a dream or not, thus feeling frustrated and scared. I'll take 3 tokens from that, and then I think I'll do Walk With Me in Dreams.
Oh. And what is that?
That will allow him to travel through the portals that connect all dreamers, and I think he wants to see what the building is dreaming.
Mm-hmm. All right, so spend darkness tokens and roll.
I will spend all 3. 12. Naturally.
On an 11 plus, you come across something disturbing. Choose one from above and one from below.
I will take learn something significant
Mhm.
and lose control of my powers in a terrible way, marking a condition.
All right. Well, you will learn something significant, but I would love for you to, first of all, tell us how you lose control of your powers in a terrible way.
I think when he when he starts looking into the dream, his eyes kind of blaze with red and gold, and he peers into the dream, and it kind of like overlays over the rest of the world. And I think he's going to have a hard time differentiating between what is dream and what is real. And that will leave him unreachable.
Okay.
He can't turn it off.
Oh dear. But he does learn something significant. I would love to take a break here, and we'll find out what exactly you learn when we come back. So about 6 minutes past the hour.
Oh, you're muted, Shane.
Thanks. Zero, you have learned something significant. What you've learned is that you didn't find all of the weapons that are set to destroy you, if necessary, when you tried to clear out the armory. There's one weapon that you missed, and that is the Doom's Door that all of Division is built around. Sort of this apocalyptic threat that they built their headquarters around as a last resort, in case any of you truly got out of control, and in case the weapons they had designed weren't enough. And what you know now is that someone is searching for that door. Some sort of harbinger is here, trying to find it and unleash the apocalypse. But you're sort of frozen at the moment. Is that something that the others will see?
Yeah, I think they'll see him just kind of like eyes ablaze. He'll just be looking at and kind of interacting with things that just aren't there.
Asag, are you concerned at all about your buddy and or tool glitching like this?
Well, it's actually in Asag's best interest if no one ever speaks to Zero ever again at this exact moment. So Asag definitely is going to investigate, though. Yeah, Asag is going to sort of reach out to Zero, and try to sort of feel them as if they were a worshiper and they were trying to feel the energy of the worshiper, to see if they can't stabilize in some way Zero's, existence in this place.
Yeah. Is there a specific move that you're triggering there?
I'm just gonna say unleash the dark, probably.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
So I'll say that's 3 tokens.
Nice. So you can choose 2 from that list. If you want to stabilize them, I think that's getting what you want from them.
Yeah. Yes. So I will get what I want from them, and I want to expose a weakness or flaw
Of Zero's?
of the dream constructs.
The See, that is a. All right, that challenges me a little. I mean, this almost feels like cheating, but I guess the real answer is that if you solve the situation before they unlock Doom's door, then that's the real weakness. But you need to figure out what Doom's door is and who the infiltrators are.
Fair enough.
Go on.
No, I didn't have any.
So do I clear that condition, or is this just a momentary lucidity?
Yeah, I think that Asag is able to sort of bring you back.
Then Zero will kind of blink, and his eyes will settle back into their normal gaze, and he'll look at Asag and just kind of breathlessly spout everything he's learned.
Sebastian, how does this news strike you?
Which of the news? Because there's quite there's like the missing weapon or something else.
All of the above.
Well, I think the President Sebastian is more reacting to the tape, and so what he does is he looks at it and he goes like, it's considering how hard it is to resist the temptation to punish the world for fucking everything, and sort of snaps the tape in two, and just sort of like tears it out and then shoves it in his pocket. Shoves the recorder in his pocket, and he uses Unleash the Dark to find, I think, to sort of like find the threats that are out there. And I think on Knife's Edge is what I'll use instead of just a plain flat Unleash the Dark move.
Wait, so what is on Knife's Edge?
Well, it's a lot of words, but effectively speaking, is an Unleash the Dark move that has additional effects. When you give into your true power in an effort to control it, you spend darkness tokens and roll. On a 7, the power feeds on a fear hidden in your heart. Excellent stuff. And on an 8 to 10, there's a brief moment of serenity before your power crashes through that allows you to choose 2 instead of 1 effects from a list of 3. And on an 11 plus, you get to choose more, but it causes damage.
Right. So, I mean, Unleash the Dark is about trying to enforce your will on someone, like a specific sort of tangible someone. So I think that if you want to do that, unless it's on one of the other PCs, you're going to need to head out of the briefing room and explore until you find somebody that you can unleash the dark on. And I mean, all of you know, like from where you are now in the building, the easiest places to get to are probably the business department or the control room, or there's also a surveillance room in this kind of part of the building.
Yeah, I think. I think what happens is that Sebastian turns to Kronos, and not Kronos, turns to Zero, and sort of holds him and whispers in his ear using not just his voice, but the voice given to him by his dethroned god, and tries to harness the telepathy for himself. And that's when I unleash it.
All right.
Yeah.
So roll with darkness tokens.
All right. Let's see. So I'm spending the last darkness token that I have, and let's make it 2d6 plus 1. And go. That is a 5.
Do you want to spend any bonds to bring it up to an 8?
Yeah. I think I'll spend what the darkness demands of you,
Mm-hmm.
and I think another bond with 0.
So you're going to need to spend 3 bonds.
Oh,
get to
3
an 8.
bonds. Do you know what it is? I'll spend 1 from Kronos as well.
Okay. So there is a brief moment of serenity before your power crashes through. At any time during the scene, you can choose an option from the list below. You can choose 2 in total during the scene. So which of those?
So let's see. I will unleash the darkness if I had rolled an 8 to 10, but in addition cost great collateral damage. But before that, allow my power to reach out to the ancient door of power and open myself up to the answer and uncover a key at great cost. Woo!
Okay, so that's the first thing that you do. So let's see. You uncover a key at a great cost. Like, how does it feel to reach out like that?
It feels painful, actually. It is, the word is not, one would think that tapping into my true nature would be a state of euphoria, but instead there's just so much regret and remorse over, being disconnected from that which fathered Sebastian and created Sebastian, that transitioning from what is almost a mortal veneer and into something divine hurts because you feel the absence of that God when tapping into his angelic nature. And once again, Sebastian turns into a more beautiful version of himself. As Anne Rice would put it, a preternaturally handsome version of himself. She loved that word.
And I just want to check. So you'd gone to the door, you opened it up, you found the cassette recorder, you brought it back into the room. Did you close the door or did you leave it open? Are you muted?
I think Sebastian left it open.
All right. So the key that you get will also be the great cost. And just like you are entitled anytime during this scene to take your 8 to 10 on and unleash the dark. So just tell me when you want to do that. You all hear something approaching the door. Sounds like something slowly being dragged along the floor outside. That sort of tacky 90s office carpet that Division likes. And what appears in the doorway, what drags itself into view, is a large brain, about the size of a large dog. And it sort of starts heaving itself into the room with all of you. It smells like electricity, and it sort of sparks a little as I think Sebastian's probably still the closest to the door, so it'll start dragging itself towards you.
And I think that is my cue to unleash the dark upon it.
Well, it is if you want to. Is that what you want to do?
Yeah. I think I want to get what I want from them, and I think first I have to roll, right?
Well, no, you have an 8 to 10 on Unleash the Dark from your other move that you can just use.
All right, so
just choose.
I want to get what I want from them, which is, I guess answers, and I want to avoid reprisals, harm, or cost.
Okay. So you want an answer from the brain.
Yeah.
Can you be more specific about what answers you're wanting?
it's sort of like a Jack Bauer interrogation move kind of thing, where it's like, you
Oh
tell
no.
me, you tell me, like how to free the house.
Okay.
Where are the launch codes to release the division from this grasp.
Sure. So the brain will sort of, just like a 24 terrorist suspect, will defiantly bark back that you'll never, it'll never tell you. I do take responsibility. So Matthew just typed in the chat that he blames me for incepting 24 earlier this session. I accept full responsibility. You'll never make me break. Even now, our agents are all over Division. One of them soon will find Doom's door, and then it'll be too late for you.
Would Zero be able to pick up any surface thoughts while this is happening?
If you mind, Shane, I'll say that because I'm using Zero's power, you absolutely feel that stuff. It's almost like you're in a conversation you can't control, even though you're a part of it.
Yeah, so I think that you get these like brief impressions of some of these other agents that it's thinking about at the moment. There are some that have like suits and giant office supplies in place of their heads, giant staplers and scissors and things like that. There are some that are just like an impression of slithering, and there are some that are more like sort of typical Black Opsy special agents in dark bulletproof vests and balaclavas. You can't tell exactly where they are, but those are the other agents that this thing thinks of as Sebastian interrogates it. Sebastian, do you feel like that like satisfied you're getting what you want from them?
I mean, I'm as a mechanical result, I'm satisfied, but definitely from a character perspective, I'm like, no, I really need to know like how to liberate, or at least who is like at the center of this
Yeah.
all.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, just for clarity mechanically, like there's no way that I can produce that result, because the only way it can happen is that you collect enough keys that you can make the unlocking Doom's door move. There's not like a predetermined answer that I can give you. So the group needs to investigate. But in terms of avoiding reprisals, harm, or cost, what you notice as you interrogate this brain is that it is growing. It's already almost the size of a cow. You don't know how big exactly it can get, but you're going to have to do something to deal with that before it crushes you, really.
All right, but can I suggest something? I think that what happens is with the brain, I'm able to extrapolate like some kind of supernatural signature from it that allows me access, or allows us access to speak with, or to interact with the invaders, the incursion that is going on.
It's
So
like
that's
Jack Bauer took its little earpiece.
yeah, or it's yeah,
You access the psychic wavelength that the infiltrators are communicating on. I buy
yeah,
that. Yeah,
yeah,
I'll take that as a get what you want from it.
yeah, and time to avoid harm.
So I just want to check in with the rest of you. All of you can see that as Sebastian is interrogating this thing, it's growing larger. By now, it's probably a little, as big as a bull, I guess. It's a little larger than a regular cow. Kronos, what do you do about this looming brain?
That's a great question. So it's come into that original room where we were. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And if it's getting bigger, that means it seems it's not likely to be able to fit back through the doorway to go out. So I think Kronos just starts to sidestep it and slide over to the door.
Yep. Asag, what about you?
Asag is going to very contemptuously. How does the brain move exactly? Does it float? Is it just?
It's like it sort of elongates its frontal lobe like a worm, and then drags itself across the floor.
Oh, that's awful.
It squishes
Asag-
along. Exactly.
Asag is going to react with spite or arrogance. I think in this exact scenario, we can say arrogance is the proper word. And Asag is going to reach up at the brain and flip it like a couch that you're trying to shut out of a door, and just ram this brain out of the room. I'm going to try to. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that you can just do that. You can, you're a god. It's a brain. It's one of the lesser agents of the infiltration force. You like knock it back into the hallway just before it grows too large for the door. Is that?
Yeah, that's the plan.
And then it's like a turtle that's been turned over.
Yeah, and now that it's on its side, Asag walks up to it, and Asag is going to grab the lobe that it was grasping with, right? It really just again in this awful body horror dream, and Asag is going to grasp for a key. Asag wants to make this brain flee back to wherever it came from, and Asag wants to follow it. By just scaring the shit out of this thing.
Okay. We'll go ahead and roll to grasp a key.
Okay. I do have the power of fear manipulation, so that does seem helpful. So, And
sorry, Matthew, just to clarify, the brain itself is a key. That's the one that you got for your playbook move before.
All right, I'm jotting it down in the sheet.
Thanks. 7.
Okay.
So on a 7 to grasp a key, I think you can mark ruin to uncover a key. But in doing so, the keeper will reveal how you come closer to becoming a harbinger. Harbinger.
Absolutely. Not even a question.
All right. So let's see. So you try and terrify the brain into leading you back to its master. Is that what's happening?
Yes.
The brain clearly wants to help. It wants to do what you've commanded. It tries to right itself. It wobbles back and forth. But it's, at this point, it's the size of maybe a caravan or something like that. And it's just become too heavy to move. It continues to swell until the division floor won't support it anymore, and it crashes down into the darkness. You hear it break through a few floors beneath you as it sort of vanishes into the ether. But what do you find?
Well, I think that there is a lower level that is different from division. It crashes through the floor.
Well, I think that what you see as it breaks through the floors is a staircase that looks like it descends forever, kind of square staircase, leading down level by level. And you're sure that should not be there. You know reasonably well the layout of Division. That staircase was not there, when you went to bed last night. Maybe you even came up that way to get to the briefing today. That staircase is very unfamiliar. You can hear sort of muffled sounds of pain coming from deep below. Not the brain. Whatever noises the brain made were more like squishy and gooey. These sound like human or monster cries of some kind, though. What do you do?
Josh, you're muted.
Thank you. I'm gonna follow the brain down the stairs. This is our way out, it seems like.
Are the rest of you going to go down the stairs as well? Zero, what do you think?
I'll definitely follow Asag.
Zero?
Zero will kind of perch on the edge and he'll ask, the steps of greater dreams? Steps of deeper slumber? And he'll go.
Nice. Kronos, are you going with them?
I think as they start descending the stairs, I don't know, maybe Zero notices this. Kronos hasn't been keeping pace. He's looking. I'm picturing there's work desks and things about on the floor, and he's going and opening every drawer and looking inside of them,
mm-hmm.
and looking through all of the different compartments and things.
Mm-hmm. Are you grasping keys?
I am grasping keys, and I am. Where's my thing? What's it referred to? Embodying a condition that affects me.
Yeah, nice.
So yeah, I will take 3 tokens from that, which I will then spend on this roll. 10.
10? Yeah, great. Let's see. That gets you a key, doesn't it? A 10, you uncover a key. So what you find as you search through these drawers, you find a set of old photographs. I think some of them are so old they're kind of sepia toned, but they, become progressively more modern. You go through 80s style Polaroids right up to, what look like printouts of contemporary digital photography. And the photographs show an abandoned bunker that's full of shadows. And the shadows, that maybe they're figures of some kind, but these shadowy darknesses seem to move progressively towards the camera over what seems like the many decades that these photos have been taken.
Okay. I would, if I might, you tell me if is this feasible. I would like to use my shadow magic to go into the picture.
Oh wow!
Because I think that's where death is.
Well, I think that you need to power through darkness to do that, but go ahead.
So I
push the limits of your supernatural powers to enter the photograph.
Yeah. I've got 2 tokens left, and I'm going to spend them on this. That's a 9.
You use your powers with great precision and effect, changing the situation before you. Additionally, the Keeper may offer you a reprieve, a golden opportunity, or a bond with someone. All right, we will come back to you and see what happens inside the photographs. Asag, you're sort of leading the others down the stairs. How far down do you plan to go? You're going, floor by floor. There are doors that lead off the stairs at each kind of turn.
How regular are the doors from Division?
They look like it,
Okay.
but I mean, if this was normally there's no
Yeah,
doors here,
I
but they
guess.
look like division doors.
Okay. Asag goes down like 6 levels, right? And nothing is changing level to level. And Asag stops and enters the level.
All right. So I think Zero was right behind you, and then Sebastian in the rear. Sebastian, you notice that the cat from upstairs has followed you down here. Do you
Mhm.
head on through the door with Asag, or what do you do?
Wait, the cat has followed us and is gonna go down with us, or I mean,
Yeah,
it's
it's
about
followed
to.
you. It's followed you all this way down. You're 6 floors down now.
What kind of cat is it?
Just a little tabby cat.
An orange cat. All right. You know what? I know this might sound faintly ridiculous, but I feel like this is definitely what Sebastian would do, which is to pierce into the soul of the cat. Sort of like Constantine-esque, gaze into its eyes and see what secrets it carries or what knowledge and intent. Because cats, I think my reasoning would be, cats have served gods millennia ago, so they have access to. They sometimes have access to supernatural knowledge. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And is that grasping keys, or what are you trying to do here?
Trying to grasp keys. Clearly, this cat, is connected somehow.
Oh no, I'll be here.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, time to grasp some keys. And I think, let's see, where we are. Yeah, all right. Roll in 2d6. Not using darkness this time. That is a 12. Wonderful.
Well, that's not so wonderful.
I know that was sarcasm.
I just get so excited. On an 11 plus, you uncover a key, but there's a significant complication, cost, or fallout, and the keeper will tell you what it is. All right. I will come back to you.
Yeah.
Zero. You see Asag head on through the door. You see Sebastian stop to, well, it looks like commune somehow with this cat that's following you around. What do you do?
I think he's going to follow Asag and kind of keep his telepathic radar on and see if he can pick up surface thoughts of anything sentient that they may come near.
Okay. So Asag and Zero, you step out into, not the hallway that you would expect from where you are, but a large, old-fashioned smoking lounge. There is velvety green wallpaper everywhere, overstuffed armchair of burgundy leather. There's a large hearth burning in one wall. You recognize Rani, the bartender from Division. She's behind the bar, but this doesn't look at all like the regular Division bar. One wall's covered in floor-to-ceiling bookcases of rosewood, with a stepladder attached to run up and down the wall. And a man that you don't recognize stands on the opposite side of the room, sort of clutching a little whiskey glass closely to his face. Maybe he's muttering something. And Zero, I think that you pick up his surface thoughts, which are sort of repetitive, sort of inane, but he is just annoyed about somebody called the Scissormen. These Scissormen are following him everywhere. He can't get rid of these Scissormen. What's he supposed to do? How's a guy supposed to catch a break? Like, just really kind of self-pitying thoughts about these Scissormen. And Yeah. I mean, what do the two of you do? Well, let me ask Zero first. How do you react to that?
With fear, I think the very concept of scissor men, whatever that might mean, is kind of terrifying. And I think he'll kind of shrink away and maybe put a sog between him and the man.
Does the Sarg notice that? I'm asking Josh.
No, Asag does not. Asag does approach the man because the man is unfamiliar.
Mhm.
And the man looks nervous, you know?
Yeah.
So Asag,
Yeah, even a god can tell that.
yeah, even a god can tell that. So, what does Asag do? Asag sits down on the stool next to the nervous man. And Asag puts a hand on the man's shoulder and looks into the man's eyes very deeply and says, I'm here to protect you. You can tell me what you're worried about.
Is there a move that you're triggering here? Is it Unleash the Dark? You're muted.
I am. Yes, this is probably Unleash the Dark.
Mm-hmm. Well, go ahead and roll with darkness tokens.
Of course. I am going to say that I will roll with 2 darkness tokens. I have my roll with me. It keeps bugging out, so I have to log back on. 1 moment.
Yeah, no problem.
There's a 9.
All right. So you wield the darkness with control and choose 2, and I think you may get some extra options because you were lying about being here to protect him.
Yes, of course. Always a lie. I think that I get what I want from them. And no, I lied. Sorry. I think that I avoid reprisals, harm, or cost. And I also learn a valuable secret.
Okay. So I think the valuable secret is that he starts reaching into his pocket, and he's sort of still, now he's muttering out loud the same sort of stuff that Zero could hear in his head, and he's complaining about these scissormen who keep bothering him, and he says, well, look, maybe you can help me. They're looking for this guy. Have you seen him? And he unfolds, it looks like an old-fashioned wanted poster, but the picture on the wanted poster, it's Kronos, and he's trapped inside the photo, trying to get out. And that's where we'll finish up the session for this week and lead into some stars and wishes, if that's good for everyone.
Of course.
Great. So let's go right to left across the character keeper for stars and wishes. So, Josh, do you want to go first?
Yeah, stars. I am very sad that I missed last week's session, but I thought that me and Matthew were wonderfully reintegrated, hit the ground running. I had a great time just popping back in. I thought that we all adapted very well, and I very much enjoyed the session tonight.
Any wish?
Wish, I would love there are some complications also in my secret move,
Ah,
which I would love to see some complications arise from
okay.
Asag's power grabbing.
Yeah, that's a great one and a good reminder for me. Thanks.
Yeah.
John.
Yeah, I think stars for definitely this mystery. I really like this mystery, the whole like weirdness of it, like pseudo dream state or something. Not really sure. Gosh, I know there were some instances that jumped out at me, but my brain has lost them. So I'm just gonna say stars to everybody because I had fun playing with y'all. This is another great session. For wishes, I am hoping I'd be really interested in seeing next session being torn between, because I think this whole like shadowy bunker place, and we've already talked about how like maybe this existential being that we're all in is sort of that thin line between, it's the veil between living and dead, which is all wrapped up in what the shade is, what the darkness demands of the shade. So I'd be interested in bringing some of that in.
Yeah, cool. Thanks. Drew?
Stars to, yeah, this mystery is great, but I loved the resolution to the last one. I really liked Sebastian just going for it with his powers, and we almost toppled a building. That was pretty cool. Less so for the people in it, but cool for me. Yeah, just the seeing everyone's characters between missions was fun. Getting to know their inner lives a little more was neat. And as I said in the chat, I love that Asag kind of knew that Zero would do pretty much anything he'd ask. So go for Zero, and that will. I hope. I guess it's a wish. I look forward to seeing what kind of effects that might have.
Cool. And Matthew?
Stars and wishes today, I have to say that yes, great session. Loved how the last adventure resolved itself. Was resolved even though we missed out a whole second act. It's like watching a really killer movie where you see the first act and the third act, because you stepped outside to get something and you come back. It's hilarious. And now you're like, oh, I gotta pick that up on Blu-ray so I can see the whole thing again. Or thank God for on-demand streaming services. But I also had to be sincerely thankful to Drew today for quietly being, cooperative with some of the like drama and conflict that I roped his character in with by just, being argumentative with him, but then sort of like taking an apology. So, my deepest thanks for that one. Even if you didn't interact with it as much, I still thought that I really appreciated that you welcomed it. You know what I mean? That was like something, because yeah. And Josh entertaining me endlessly with Asok. I mean, I think half the wisecracks I'm throwing into the chat have to do with Asok. Yeah, and I want to thank you, Shane, for this session. I'm really looking forward to what happens with this mystery. I think the weirdness is definitely like a great factor into it. And John, like everything you have been teeing up for your character, right down to the shadow magic portrait. Oh, I can't wait to see what happens there. Like just an extra level of weird. I'm jealous. I'm jealous of your power, to be honest, and not just as a character but also as a player. So like I think you can look forward to Sebastian trying to seize that power for temporarily just to get a taste, and those are my stars.
Do you have a wish?
A wish, I think my wish in general for a game like this is I look forward to experiencing shame and anticipating punishment. Now, maybe that's super Catholic of me to say that, but I think that's appropriate for the tone of this game, don't you think?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think
So
we can work with that.
yeah.
So thanks everyone. I had a really great time. I'm super enjoying running this game, and I really enjoy all of your characters and the terrible decisions that you constantly make. We should have done this before Stars and Wishes, but there's a set of end of session questions for experience that we should go through. So each of you respond to these individually. I'll take your word for it, but if there's anything you're not sure about, just shout out and we can talk about whether you did it. Did you express your monstrous nature and or your humanity? If yes, mark 1 XP.
Gonna say I absolutely did.
Did you learn something significant about yourself and or your impending ruin? And if yes, mark 1 XP.
Absolutely.
Did you learn something significant about a fellow monster? If yes, mark 1 XP.
I think we're learning a lot about. I think all of us should mark that because we're all learning a lot about Assad today.
And did you uncover at least one key of the apocalypse or attempt to open Doom's door? And this one is an if no. If no, mark 1 ruin.
I think we all did, right? We all got a key or something.
I'm not sure. I'll take your word for it. There's a bunch of keys, so it seems plausible.
Yeah. I think the question I'm really asking is, hey gang, fess up, one of you. Who of you have not opened the key? Cast the first ruin.
I did, but I want the ruin, unfortunately.
I didn't this session, and that puts me at 5 ruin.
Yay! I'm so excited for you, Drew.
Well, that will be exciting to follow up next time.
Oh, yeah.
So I just want to check everyone's happy if I post the video from this session. All right, I'll end the recording.